Okay, so in this final video about ionic compounds, let's finish up a couple of things. We left off with drawing Lewis diagrams showing where electrons could be lost and where they would be gained in order to make these ionic compounds where the positives and negatives stick together. Now I just want to show you a shortcut. So if you don't want to draw these diagrams out, there's a shortcut way to do it. It's called the crisscross method. Now that you kind of draw pictures and see what's happening, we can simplify this problem. So we can find an easier way of predicting the formula for the compound. So in this case, let's do the one example that says here, let's do barium and phosphorus. So before we would have taken barium and shown that it had 2 electrons, and phosphorus has 5 electrons, and then we would have tried to draw the arrows, and we'd end up putting one there and one there, but then we see we have a spot left over on the phosphorus. So that means we'd need another barium, and it would have 2 electrons. One of those electrons could go in there, but now this barium is only 1 electron. So now we need another phosphorus. This one gets a little bit crazy. So you can see why we might need a new method. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we can take that 1 electron from the barium and we'll put it in here. Now we've still got 2 more spots. So if you're counting, we can fit in 1 more barium with its 2 electrons. And we can put those into the phosphorus here. 1 there and 1 there. So that gets kind of complicated. If we add it all up, we realize we have B, A, and we took those each have a 2+ on them, and we used 3 of them. And we used a phosphorus. Well, the phosphorus has each got 3 new electrons, so they have a 3- on them, and we used 2 of them. So that gives us 3 times 2 is 6, and 2 times -3 is -6. So that comes out to be neutral, and that would be the formula B, A, 3, P, 2. So to be a little quicker, let's look at another way of doing that same thing. And what you can do is simply this. Write down the symbol for the 2 elements that are in the compound. So in this case, it's Ba and P. And then go to your periodic table. So when we look at our periodic table, we go in here and we find Ba. Ba is in group 2. And phosphorus is in group 15. So that's where I was getting those numbers from. Group 2 means it has 2 electrons on the outside. So we're not going to draw electrons this time. We're simply going to put a 2 above the Va symbol. And the phosphorus is in group 15. So that means when we drew its picture here, it had 5 electrons. But what we're going to do is up here, we're going to write how many it needs to gain, not how many it has. So on the top here, we're writing down the numbers. How many electrons does an atom need to gain or lose? And we do that either to empty it, so we lose those 2 to empty it, or we gain 3 in the case of phosphorus. Let me just put the dots in for a minute. Right? We'd add 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, because it's in group 15, so that's 5. If we gain 3 more, 1, 2, 3, that means it has a full orbit, and that's what we want. So the 2 and the 3 go on the top, and then we crisscross them. This number is going to be written down here, and this number is going to be written over here. And so we get a new formula right away without doing a lot of arrow drawing and diagramming. And we write down Ba, and the number 3 came down here, so we write a 3, and the 2 comes over here. So we write down a 2, and we have a compound, Ba32. So we got the same answer in both ways. It's just the crisscross method is a little faster. And if you can understand how to gain and lose electrons, you can use it to come up with formulas. Let's just do 2 more together, and then we'll call this video done for now. And tomorrow we'll look at some naming. But for now, let's do lithium and sulfur. So we write down the 2 elements first, lithium, sulfur. And then we go to our periodic table, and we find lithium is in group 1, and sulfur is in group 16. Okay, group 1 has 1 outside electron. Group 16 has 6 outside electrons. So we put a 1 above the lithium. Now, sulfur would have 6. To fill it up, it has to get 8. So 6 plus 2 would give it the 8. And again, if we look at the Lewis diagram, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, it needs 2 more. So we try not to draw the Lewis diagrams. If you need to, you can. But if we know that there's 6, it needs 2 more to get to the 8. And so then our result is, if we crisscross it, this comes down here, that goes over there, and we write down LIS, and then the number that came down here was a 2. And if it's a 1, we don't bother writing it. So we just leave it as Li2S. And that tells us we need 2 Li atoms, and they each have a positive charge, and 1 sulfur atom that has a 2 negative charge, and then they all stick together to form a new compound. Okay. Final example, let's look at aluminum and oxygen. Yeah, aluminum and oxygen is a good one. So we'll do aluminum symbol is Al, oxygen symbol is O. Let's go to our periodic table and look these up. So aluminum's right here, it's in group 13. Oxygen's over here, it's in group 16. So 13 and 16. So aluminum, if it's in group 13, we put a 3 here. It wants to lose 3 because it's a metal. Oxygen was in group 16, just like sulfur. So that means it wants to get 2 more to get a total of 8. And again, if we crisscross these numbers, we quickly get the formula for the compound. And it becomes Al2O3. So that's much easier than drawing these complicated diagrams with the arrows going over this. Now you can use this. If that's what you understand and you can make that work, then that's fine. But if you can move to the next level and start just doing the crisscross method, you'll very quickly get the answers, okay? So that should help you with the worksheet a bit more, get you some of the answers on the worksheet. And we'll do one more video where what we'll cover is how to name things. And the last thing on that worksheet, I think, was writing some names. So don't worry about getting the worksheet done yet. We will do that as soon as I can get through this last video, okay? So do what you can on it, and then we'll get back together on another video. Thanks.